Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I want to welcome you to another installment of the Zoom In on the Halal Metropolis project. My name is Sally Howell. I'm the director of the Center for Arab American Studies at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. And the point of this broadcast is to share information and to really document what's happening in the Muslim community in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. And today I'm very excited to be speaking with Rashid Alnozili. Hi, Rashid, how are you doing?
Hey, how are you, Dr. Salih?
I'm good. Rashid is the editor and the publisher of the Yemeni American News, which is a great newspaper, local newspaper that's been in business for how many years?
This is the 14 years.
The 14th year, yeah. So it's doing what we're doing in a way. It's shining light really carefully on the Yemeni community and exploring all the news that's important to the local Yemeni community here in Detroit, which is a growing, really dynamic community, and one that I think has been misrepresented very much in the media and over time, and even by other Arab American sources. So it's been really good to see the newspaper, and I learned so much from it. So how are you doing, Rashid?
I'm doing very good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm hanging in there. It's not been my favorite year, but alhamdulillah, we're still here. So how are things at the paper? What's it been like to run a newspaper in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, first of all, Dr. Salih, thank you very much for having me in your excellent program. You know, our paper has been in organization for 14 years. This year was tough a little bit like everybody else, but the pandemic, I think, was very good in somehow for the whole country as well, to switch from learning process in person to online. We were, I think, USA was like behind, compared to the other countries. Now I think we are in the top because you have to work in online. So
but the whole world is doing it though. The places where people can't. Well, so how has it affected, like, I know that a lot of your advertisers are local businesses. How has it affected the business community?
When it came into our paper, really doesn't affect that much because we've been working online for many years. It's not only this is something happened in one night. So it was miserable to the other, businesses, especially restaurant and people who work in a manufacturing. That was a huge for them. They affect big time. Don't forget, Dr. Salih, you have a new immigrant, especially from Yemen. They work in the small businesses, and I think affect him big time.
I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's true. I've been. I have not been spending very much time in Dearborn lately, but when I'm there, or I can't remember where I was the other day, I just noticed all these closed businesses, like empty storefronts in places where there had been businesses before. It's very sad to see that.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's just like people, they can wait and wait and wait. Alhamdulillah, now it's getting better.
Yeah.
It's the good thing, the whole community, and it's like the part of all of the state, we have the passion to hold on it, and we know it's getting better, thinking positive, try to put the good story so can be more related to. We cover a story in restaurant as well, how they affect them, and I think things getting better now if you compare it to that.
Well, so I mean, one of the things I've seen, as I said before, the Yemeni community in Michigan has grown so significantly lately, and they're moving into all these neighborhoods where they didn't live before. And I was looking at the Hamtramck community years ago, and I noticed that where there's a mosque, there's a Yemeni community, and where there's a community, suddenly there are all these businesses, and the housing prices go up. People fix up the homes, and suddenly they create a new market for homes. And the Yemeni community in Hamtramck, along with the Bangladeshi community and other people, but it's really lifted the economy of that city or that area. And you see the same thing happening in like the Lanyo area. You see it happening in Warrendale. You see it happening in Melvindale. So tell me about all this growth that's happening in the community. And I know that your paper is covering the growth. So tell me about some of that.
Well, it's basically, I think I'm trying to make it transfer from Polish community to Bengalis and Yemenis, but we still have, the Polish touch, It's it's important for us when the community is growing, the business growing, especially the small businesses. If you look at Hamtramck right now, it's follow what happened in Warren Street in Durban. Without the Lebanese community, Warren is just miserable, right?
Mhm.
So it's about business. And I think the good thing it's in Hamtramck, it's a lot of small businesses picking up. Without that small business, the city was, bankrupt again or being miserable thing. And I think Bengalis and Yemeni, they try to do their homework, which is building small businesses.
Mhm. Yes, and one of the stories that you wrote probably about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, was one about the furniture makers. And I love this story because Michigan has a long history of furniture making, and I'm from North Carolina, which has an even longer history of furniture making. But in Michigan, the Steelcase company is here, and there are other manufacturers who like really well-known designers and manufacturers who have made Michigan their home. So to me, it's like a really nice arc to the story that some of the newest immigrants to Dearborn are also making furniture. Tell me about that.
Well, first of all, Dr. Saleh, you see the furniture in the Diwan in Yemen, and you spent your honeymoon there. I never forget this story. When you were in Marib and you talked about it, and it's this is a credit for you. I remember when you see that thing and you told me, so Rashid, your paper should focus on this and have a story. I give you a credit for this one. We did the story and everybody was, we did it in Arabic and in English. We did it in the video as well. Probably you watch it. That was a very good story. I mean, the good thing, it's called how you, American dream is not about you start all over. You just finish what you have. It doesn't matter if you are an immigrant. I came from background, the soccer and politician and things like that. I have to go to the new society, but I still, finish what I start from back home.
I really like that point because I think that I don't think that everybody thinks about immigration in this way. Maybe especially not in a place like Michigan where people come, and historically one of the big draws for immigrants here was the auto industry. And so like a lot of the people who came in the early part of the 20th century, they might have come from places where they were in agriculture, where they lived in small villages or small towns and they were peasants. And this would be definitely true for the Yemenis who came in that period. And they had to really do something new, which is to build cars, which was back in that period was a horrible job that people hated. And eventually, if they could, they got out of the factory and became entrepreneurs because it was a better lifestyle for them, But I think that you're right about the 20th century, the late 20th century, the stuff that started after 1965. I think a lot of immigrants from that period, they brought a lot of skills with them. And they tried to keep, we talked to Fayrouz Saad a few weeks ago, who works for Welcoming Michigan, the governor's office that helps integrate new immigrants. And one of the main jobs that she does there is help immigrants who have jobs, licensing jobs, like medical doctors or dentists or engineers, people who need licenses, helping them to translate their skills into this environment so they can continue to work in their profession here. And as you know, you're a politician and a soccer coach, but a lot of people from your community, in particular, the Yemeni community, were sailors. They worked on in deep sea, sailing, and they worked on, working on the Indian Ocean and things like that. And they took that skill. They worked, many of them, for the British Army or for the British Merchant Marines. And they took that skill and they brought it here and they came to work on the Great Lakes. So, I mean, there's a lot of continuity, and a lot of those families where maybe the family member used to be a sailor and work on the lakes. There are fewer jobs now than there used to be. The ships have gotten bigger and they don't hire as many people. And so now a lot of those people have gotten into the trucking industry, right?
Right. It's continue what you've been saying. It's because of the communities is switching a little bit and transfer. My uncle, when he came to this country, he worked for Chrysler as well. Then I came with degree. I switched, I have a different field. And in the same time, in the newspaper, what we do, if somebody have opened a businesses, we have to go dig in. If he have that background, we'll do the story. because we know he has the passionate, he can succeed. But if we don't see any hope and we don't see his field is not there, we don't do the story, even if he succeed. And I know because I did a story before with people that don't have that kind of, the professionalism before, they can't make it. So let's say I will have a story about somebody who chef. I'm gonna ask him what he did for 20 years. Oh, this is a good story. By just making it to make a business, because it's not only, Saleh, Saleh in the United States, it's not about you doing a business. It's what do you do with the business? How you help others. That's the main thing.
I mean, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that that is a perspective. I don't think I've ever heard a newspaper publisher talk that way about how he finds his stories, right? I mean, your commitment is, it's not to selling the paper, it's not to having a quick news story. You're not you're not on CNN. You're trying to really provide a service for the community and promote what these community leaders are doing. See them not just as entrepreneurs, but as community leaders. And people who bring not only families with them, who the responsibility of taking care of their family, but all the other people who come and work for them. So that if you're a business owner, you're responsible for all those people who work for you. I mean, I think that is a very distinctive perspective that you have, and I think that's one of the reasons that your paper is so rewarding to read and such a treasure for the community. I mean, I really commend you on that. So I'm still interested, given all this that's going on, I don't know how to ask this question. Like, what do you see as as we look ahead, right? As people start to get vaccinated more and more, and as the businesses start opening up again, where do you think that we should be looking for news stories from the Yemeni community?
Dr. Saleh, that's very important to get to know. Because I remember when I met you 10 years ago, we were talking. Remember when I sent you the invitation for Yemeni Voice in America? Mm-hmm. And you came and I remember you came with your husband and you said, probably your husband, I don't know, you came by yourself or your husband 10 years ago, and you asked me, I mean, that was a good story. You was shocked, who's this guy, what he tried to establish. But we know we get into that. This is an organization and a business, but at the same time, not only Yemeni community right now, because we might use the name, but I don't think so. Now, when you're talking about the campaign, and I mean, a candidate in Durban or a candidate in Hamtramck, it's not only about Yemenis, our candidate in Detroit. Now we try to be, and remember your challenge. I mean, you asked me one question when we celebrate the 10 university, you tell me how you're going to survive and to let this organization get by itself. You remember that question, right? So now we are in a process to follow your question this is the right response, is switching from Yemeni community to the mainstream media, because these days, how long are you going to talk about the Yemenis? You talked about, we have a reporter from Bengalis as well. We talked about the Bengalis community. We talked about Albanian community. We talked about Yugoslavian community, so on. It's also, we have both language in Arabic and English. So you're not only serving the Yemeni community, but basically you serving the Arab American as well. And at the same time, not only this, our dream is just go city by city, then you go by the state, then you go. It's about resource. If you have the right resource, look at your projects, Dr. Saleh. Look, if you have a big resource, how are you going to make that project you're doing it right now affect? You're going to affect all of the world. So I've been working so hard with my team. I'm lucky I have a right team, a good team in Arabic and English who believe in Yemeni American news better than I do. I have a white guys, they believe in Yemeni American news better than I do. And I think this is the secret. When your employee or your reporter believe in Yemeni American news than I do, I think this is a pleasure,
Well, so that is, again, that is just a great philosophy. So I really commend you on what you're doing at the paper. And I thank you for taking the time to talk to us. We've run over our time, but hopefully we'll get it edited down to a good way. But I really can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me. And I wish you all the best luck at the newspaper and also with your family. And if you're not already vaccinated, I hope you get the vaccine very soon.
I will. Thank you. We always need you. We always know you've been doing advocate. You are advocate in Michigan for Muslim, for the Arab American, and we really appreciate what you do for us.
Thank you, Rashid. The feeling is mutual. And I want to tell our audience, thank you for joining us today. And any of you who have a story that you would like to share with us, please just get in touch with any member of our team. We're happy to talk to you. As you've seen, we have many people who are doing these interviews, so we look forward to hearing your story as well. Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Salih.